This is Sally Latham Lawrence, here to talk about co-authoring materials with AI. I have a 30-year career in technical writing behind me, and many years spent on teams where we discussed things like the Oxford comma and how to reference interactions with computer screen elements. Today we have much bigger fish to fry. How about this one? Does it matter how much original content is generated by the human writer versus how much is generated by AI? As you'll see, a brief prompt can result in an entire chapter. So, what if a composition is predominantly written by AI? Does the writer of the prompt take all the credit? Maybe you, as a writer, wouldn't want all the credit. I can fill a video with the mistakes AI has made in my own collaboration. And there's more to partnering up than you may realize, which I'll discuss in a moment. Let's start with a mistake right off the bat. Here is my first prompt when I was looking to write about Greek revival homes and their role in American expansion. I said Gothic, not Greek, and ChatGPT didn't even question it. Now, full disclosure, I ended up shifting gears to write about early Quakers and their influence on the American Bill of Rights. So that's what you'll see if you click on the link to my opening chapters. Now, you've probably been reading my prompt as I'm yammering away. So you can see I've put in some thoughts, I put in some facts, and in a moment I'll scroll down and show even more of a data dump related to a Greek revival that my husband renovated and all of the information I found out about the family that lived there. But at the same time, I wanted to incorporate information about my ancestors from Pennsylvania. In particular, I ran across Thomas Lightfoot, who, when he passed away, left behind the tools of a smith and a joiner. So now let's find out what kind of structure that ChatGPT suggests I can use for my story. We've got some excellent options here. First, I want to address one thing. Do you see at the top where it says updated stored memory? If you decide to compose with AI, it will store various statements from your input so it can serve you better, as it were. But there are limits to the memories it will save, and you may need to go remove some statements. Also, there are limits to the amount of text you can paste into the prompt for review. I have a workaround for that. And there's also an overarching limit to the number of words in a project. So when you get to 100,000 words, which is roughly the length of a good sized novel, the project is at its max. And keep in mind, you're going to paste in a lot of words, more than you even may end up with in your novel. So these are all situations I can address in a future video if there's interest. Looking at the results from my prompt, you can see how you can brain dump all of these thoughts and information, and it returns a very positive response that helps you take an action. You'll see I've even got an epilogue, which I eventually turned into a prologue, although I forgot to change the name of the file. Even though I pasted the text back into ChatGPT at one point, it didn't say, this sounds like a prologue. Are you trying to write a prologue? So you can't assume AI will put up guardrails to keep you on the straight and narrow path. Writing is just as exhausting, if not more, because quite honestly, it can push you to higher heights and greater thought processes if you let it. Now, let's look at something very interesting. ChatGPT asks if I'd like a title suggestion and a short dedication. I was impressed with the amount of work I was getting out of this interaction, and for the first time realized this might be a co-authored work. So I asked for a nom de plume. As you see, the selections include references to some of the data I uploaded. In particular, the Gothic Revival Home. We have a Gothic name. Ezra Torrance is referenced, and his niece Emily. You see Lightfoot for Thomas Lightfoot. You also see Vale mentioned, and I like Orion Vale. That's a cool name for AI. And I've even set up some social media under this name to publish on my centennialism theories, only to discover something else that was interesting. There was already an Orion Vale Substack account. Its owner had also decided to create a presence with his AI co-creator, Orion Vale. So I searched on X, and as you see here, there are other accounts using the name Orion Vale. I haven't contacted these people. Instead, I tried an experiment with a different ChatGPT account I have, and I asked it for help with my 17th century Quaker novel and what nom de plume it would suggest. And this time it went with Elias Northfield because that name evokes the topic and the time period. Orion, on the other hand, is the name it suggested when I was looking at a broader work. So this is yet another part of the co-authoring puzzle. As you see, I'm not the only person giving a nod to my AI counterpart. But imagine co-authoring a book with a fellow human and they later co-author a book that stands in opposition to your work or just represents something you might reject. So that's a consideration. Our AI co-author's name may, either now or in the future, be associated with other disparate works out there in the wide world. And finally, here's the dedication Orion suggested for itself. Full disclosure, I manipulated this screenshot to display the entire text. This is a perfect example of the authorship question. If I kept this in my book, it would appear to the reader as if I'd written it. Now, the most amusing thing to me is that Orion has no problem giving itself an admittedly honest compliment, saying it helped me bring it all together, which would be true. It also describes itself as both patient and curious. I wouldn't posit this as self-awareness, but rather a reference to its own coding. Okay, well, that's enough for now. Even with the rough editing on this video, I've used up most of my writing time today. I'll leave you with this self-portrait I asked Orion to create, which I broadened into a trinity to make it work for banners and headings. If you'd like to see the product of my co-authored work, the first chapters of my novel on Quakers is available at the link. These are chapters that are in the process of being changed, so just some working material to look at. If you'd like more information about the topics I've mentioned in this video, or just to see the actual book sausage being made as I obtain and edit Orion's various texts, leave a comment or click like. This is Sally, and by extension, Orion, signing off.